together and keep it going for Mr. Ronald Montgomery. Ladies, do not swoon. Don't swoon. Don't swoon, ladies.
Good evening, how you doing? I don't know if I'm going to be able to carry all that weight, but I hear you. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was 17 years old, I was about to graduate out of high school, and I actually thought that was everything was just fine, but it really wasn't. A friend of mine came by, one of my best friends came to me and said, "Hey, Ron, I'm going to join the Navy. My father, he don't understand me, man. I got to go." I said, "Well, man, hey, this is Vietnam War. I'm about to graduate out of high school. There's nowhere I'm going with you." But he understood that I was having problems with my stepfather. So I guess he thought if he come to me, I might be able to understand what's going on with him. Because my stepfather was a guy that I knew that he had favoritisms going on. I knew that we were just my mother's children. And a lot of times that caused me, for my first hour, to run. I ran away a couple times, 14, 15 years old. My brothers would have to come and get me. They loved that, though. Mom gave them "There's no holds barred, bring him in." My brother couldn't wait. You ain't coming? So I went on back. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got mad at my father. And I decided, okay, I'm going to run over to my friend's house and sit on his back porch and tell him I'm going to the Navy with him. Now, of course, I was only 17 years old when they wouldn't take me in, but my mother had to sign me in, and she was not going for that. So she told me, "Okay, Ronald, you give me the GED, you can go." I gave her the GED, and there I was. She was dropping me off down at Fort Wayne. And at Fort Wayne, that's where all the new recruits go, and then we catch a bus and we go to different stations. We go to different boot camps. They sent me to Great Lakes, Illinois. When I first arrived there, I noticed that there were men there that had agreements with the law. They were there because they would either go do time, 3 to 5, for whatever infraction they had, or they can do 2 years in Vietnam. They chose Vietnam. When you come to boot camp, the first thing they do, they put companies together, and there's a matter of 60 men all together. You have to learn to get along with these guys. I mean, you shit, shave, bathe with these guys, and you learn to be a unit, because that was the only thing that the Navy cared about. But they were guys that had come from all kinds of different sides of the world, from Montana to LA. Some of these guys had never even seen a black man. One guy wanted to touch me. I couldn't figure it out. I knew I'd been around white folks all my life. I didn't understand. "Okay, man, touch me." All right, he touched me, so we moved on. But also, okay. So also, in boot camp, you find that there were racial problems, and a lot of times these racial tensions had a lot to do with where someone came from. And so there were fights and things like that was going on. But one thing about the military, you have guys that's just not going to conform. A lot of these cats that came in that was sitting perhaps going to jail, well, they didn't want to. They weren't going to conform into trying to be a soldier. Are you kidding me? You know, they're just doing time. But the military has this one way of saying, if you have any problems in your rank, you guys work it out. That's when I was introduced to blanket parties. Now, a blanket party, I don't know what you saw on TV, but I'm going to give you the real. A blanket party is when one guy is not acting right. Now, you know, it's 60 men. We take 15 to 20 of them, and we'll get ready to go to bed while you're in the rack. We'll throw the blanket over you. The 15, 20 men will hold you down, and the rest of us would beat you. We would whoop your ass until there's no movement in that blanket. We wouldn't walk away until we didn't see no movement. When we walked away, you wouldn't move. Next morning, muster time, here comes the company commander. He want to make sure everybody's here. He looks and he sees this bruised guy. Hey, what happened to you, man? Now we all wait to see what he gonna say. He looked at me, man. We looked at him. I fell down the stairs. All right, let's move on. All right. So that in the tale told me, Ron, you better get you some connections, man, because you 5'5", 120 pounds, and you're alone. So I said, okay. I did that. I started writing letters. Oh man, I got real good at it. I wrote everybody that I thought knew me. I would write one girl, I thought she liked me. Well, so much for that. But I'll tell you something. I wrote every day, week in and week out. I run right on up front real quick, see if somebody goes. I'm waiting to call my name. They never called my name. I never got a letter. I was the guy that didn't get any mail. Eventually, I got so mad about this, I just decided, you know what? Hell with mail call. I got really mad. I said, I wasn't writing nobody. As a matter of fact, I don't even want to talk to nobody. I stayed on my rack when they had mail call. They wasn't talking to me. I ain't got nothing coming. So I sat there. But we had this one guy, his name was Red. Now Red, he was the man. Red got letters. Red got 3 or 4 letters a day. And the thing about Red was that Red's letters was lined with perfume. And he'd walk up to you and slap you. Psh, smell this. He even hit one of the biggest guys in the place. Smell this. Big fella didn't give no problem. He knew you the man, Red, you the man. Mail card came again. I sat on my rack like usual. And it was quiet all of a sudden, and then next thing you know, you heard somebody say, oh no, hell no, oh no. I looked down the lane there, and I seen it was Red. Red knocking his locker over, and he looked like he lost his best friend. And all of a sudden, his buddy was Shorty. Shorty ran over to Red, what's wrong, Red, what's wrong? He said, read this. I ran over there, just like the rest of the men. I got right next to him, and I read the letter, and the letter said, thank you for this money that you're sending us. We're going to take this money, me and your best friend, and we're going to get the trailer, and we're going to California. Good luck, all right? Oh, I looked at Red, and I tell you, that letter took Red to a place he had never been. Had me see something I had never seen. I said, we sat there, and we waited a moment. Next thing Red just walked away. We was standing there with soft breath. We looking at Red. Red slowly walked away. He went into the company commander's office. He thought he was in there, but he wasn't in there. And all of a sudden, Red came running out of the company commander's office with a stool in his hand, and he was running towards the drying room. Now, the drying room is where we dry our clothes. Nothing in there but heat and walls and cement, and only one way in and one way out. Also, we use the drying room in case me and this guy here had a problem. Me and you going in the drying room, man. And you can't run. You know why? Because everybody's blocking the door, so you better get out. One guy from Detroit had a fight with a guy from L.A., almost bit his ear off. The brother from Detroit was cold-blooded, I tell you. So all of a sudden, I'm being a little guy, right? We all ran behind Red, and Red got to understand he's slapping everybody with these letters. I mean, we all want to know what the hell Red's doing. I got lucky enough and squeezed my way inside, and there Red was. He was standing there on a stool with a rope around his neck. And he's yelling at all of us, stay away from me, man, get away from me, don't touch me, man. And now, meanwhile, Shorty, his best friend, man, they holding him back there. Shorty screaming, let me go, man, that's my man, I got to help Red. But we knew that we couldn't let Shorty run in there, and the company commander was coming. Now this guy, we knew he was coming because he heard out, make a hole. And when he said make a hole, everybody got out the way. I mean, it was 50 some odd men all up against the walls, making sure that we don't touch this guy. He walking with his elbows out, making sure nobody better not touch him. Arrogant guy. Next thing you know, he gets in there and Red looks at him, he looks at Red. You can see the company commander's kind of pissed off at Red, but Red says, sir, don't touch me, sir. I'm gonna kill myself. I don't have no reason to live. There is nothing else. And I'm looking at Red and I said, man, Red's ready to kill himself. The man felt like his life was not worth living. He had been betrayed. He had been left behind. Meanwhile, Red's still trying to tell the company commander, don't touch me, sir. And he says, Red, I'm not going to touch you. But don't you understand what's going on? Look at my men. Everybody's so distorted. He says, and I think he was mad at Red because Red took the play. Because, see, was nobody important in that place but the company commander, all right? We were just soldiers. Company commander run the deal, so I think he was mad at Red for making that play. So he steady telling Red, I'm not going to touch you, Red. And Red still screaming, Shorty in the background, still yelling. All of a sudden, he got close to him. I didn't believe this. But he kicked the stool from under Red's legs. There Red was. I couldn't believe I'd seen it in the movies, but I saw it firsthand. This man was hanging. And I mean, he was trying to, you know, when you think you're getting ready to die, you're trying to reach for anything you can to try to live. And I could see Red's toes trying to find the floor. Maybe he changed his mind. The company commander immediately picked him up by his legs and said, come on, take the rope off of him. He seemed like he was still kind of mad at him. And then he took Red and he slammed Red on that cement floor. And he looked at Red. He said, Red, the next time you're going to kill yourself, don't tell nobody. And then he yelled, make a hole. We all got out the way. But I tell you something, I was one of the last people to leave the drying room. There Red was laying on the floor crying. Red got up, I guess, and we all went back to the rack. A few minutes, I guess maybe an hour or so, a little bit later on, all of a sudden the company commander, everybody front and center. We all came out to the front of our racks and we stood there. What the hell's going on now? Next thing you know, he says, Montgomery, front and center. What do you want me for? Reached in his pocket, pulled out this envelope. He said, I want to tell everybody, listen up. Montgomery has finally gotten a letter. I can tell you how I felt. Man, I was like a kid in the candy store, right? I went up there and smiled at him. He handed me the letter and all the men. Right on, Montgomery, all right, Detroit, yeah, baby, because they always called you from where you were. Right on, Montgomery. I ran back to my rack and I sat down. I couldn't wait to read the letter. I opened up the letter and it was from my mother. She said, everybody's fine. And she told me how much she loved me. And I thought about how choked up I got behind that. Because that's exactly what I needed. As I was closing the letter, I looked down the aisle and I could see Red. Red looking at me. We kind of nodded at each other. Because I thought to myself, I said, you know, my letter made me feel like there was a reason to continue. My letter gave me life. I was growing up. Red's letter took life away, and he was growing up. Now, we was about to graduate, and I tell you something, Red snapped out of it. He became one of the best Navy men you'd ever want to meet. They sent us to different duty stations. They sent me to Norfolk, Virginia, which was the largest naval base. The moment I got there, I found out I was the first black guy they had seen in 5 years. I said, oh, man. Everywhere I went, I can always hear the N-word. Every day, once or twice a day, sometimes directed towards me, sometimes directed to somebody else. Matter of fact, they had me doing things I had no business doing. One time they had me scrubbing the floor with a toothbrush. They knew they were wrong. They had me walking around the base looking for something that didn't even exist. I ran into this older black man. Now, he was my age now, but I called him an older black man then. Y'all better keep living. So anyway, the man said, hey, young man, what you doing? What's going on with you? I said, sir, I can't talk to you, sir. I got orders. He said, hey, man, sit down over there. Man, tell me what's happening. I said, I'm being respectful. He said, man, what they got you looking for? I said, pipe stretcher. Pipe. He said, let me tell you something, young man. You're the first black guy they've seen in 5 years. They pulling your leg. Now what I want you to do is go back to your division and tell them they got you this time, all right? Keep your mouth shut and your ears open and pay attention to where you are. Now go. All right, I was 18 then. I went on by. Now as I got back to where I was at, my division, they were all in the office. They were getting ready to say something to me, and I didn't say nothing to them. I just waved at them. Went on over and sat down in the corner where I always am by myself. And every time they leave the office, I run in the room and I get the radio and I try to find a black station. I want to hear Marvin Gaye. I want to hear Tammy Terrell sing, and I'm listening for the Temptations. I got caught. The chief caught me. Chief Links. Montgomery, what the hell are you doing? Let me ask you a question. Does that radio station play Charlie Pride? Now, Charlie Pride was the only country western black singer that I knew. And no, I don't think so. He said, well, that's as black as we get down here. Do you understand? I understood. But I'll tell you what I did, though. I went around recruiting. There was other black men on the base. I went and recruited brothers, y'all. Come on and get in my division, man. Come on, man. Come on with me. And I tell you, before we knew it, the complexion of my division changed. I was no longer the only black, but Chief Links, he was the only white. But it was cool, though, because Chief started listening to Marvin Gaye. You know, he would even ask, hey, Ron, is that Marvin Gaye, Montgomery? No, that's the Spinners, you know, okay. All right. But you know, I'll tell you something. The thing that come to mind for me was the fact that I was happy that I was able to change everything. I was happy that I was able to radio, okay, it belonged to me now, all right? That's my radio. I worked that out. But it taught me, and I was very happy because when it was time for me to leave the military taught me how to deal with what was going on at home. And going on at home was, oh man, the poverty, recession, drugs, homelessness. And I used to, my son, he joined the Marines, and I always remind him, he did 4 years, that's his mayor, that's what I call him, mayor. Mayor, don't forget what they taught you, man. And for me, that was the other R too. I was reflecting at one time, and now I'm remembering. And I thought that was a great closure for that. But you know, I got something to tell you. You might even like this. 5 years ago, I talked to a friend of mine named Bones. Now, Bones was the white guy when I was the only black guy. I hadn't talked to him in over 40 years. But he had that name. His name was Danny Eaton. He was from a little country town in Virginia. I said, hey, Bones. He's like, who is this? I said, this Monk, man, Monk. Monk, God dang. Hey, man, how you doing? Damn, we went to talk, and he said, you know, I asked him, how's Chief Links doing? He said, man, you know, I got his phone number. I said, give me phone number, Chief Links. I'm going to call him. Sure enough, I called Chief Links. Hello? Unfortunately, I got his wife. She told me Chief had died 2 years earlier. And we got on the phone, and we talked for about an hour. I can hear his grandchildren in the background. And we laughed about it. We even talked about the radio. She laughed, I laughed. And I got to tell you something. It was great closure for me. After what I'd been through, and I still was trying to make things better. And that's what we all need to do as much as we can. Don't worry about what it is. make it what it needs to be. Thank you.